Directive 2, the marriage head. Every Monday, it's the husband directives. Hello, everybody. Welcome. I'm Jim McCotter. Ephesians 5:23 says, and I quote, "For a husband is the head of his wife, as Christ is head of the church." Men, if you don't already know it, you are unquestionably the head of your wife and family as ordained by God. You are the head whether your wife or family knows it or whether they like it or not. That means God has made you the leader. And therefore, you are the leader regardless of what you or anyone else thinks. Now, you might be thinking, well, tell my wife that. Yes, your wife needs to know that. But a smart head needs to know how to function as Christ's intended head, regardless of what the wife thinks. When the husband discovers what I call God's secret SSL, which I'll tell you about later, and you put it into action, your wife will not be able to keep herself from being hot in love for you in spirit, soul, and body. It uncontrollably moves a wife to admiration, respect, and love for her husband. If your wife resisted your leadership in any way in the past, the SSL secret will move her to gladly look to you as her head and leader. The problem is that most men don't have a clue to what God's SSL secret is. As a result, many husbands do not experience the real influence and leadership with their wife and family that God designed for them to have. They don't know God's secret SSL, which no wife will be able and is able to resist. Most men might as well write on their foreheads, quote, "I'm no leader, don't follow me," end quote. If you're upset that your wife does not look to you as your head, as you think she should, guess what? It is not her fault. She can't help it because without realizing it, men, it's your fault. But husbands, hang on. It's not really bad news to discover that it's not your wife's fault if she doesn't look to you as your head, as you think she should. Why? Why, you may ask? If it is all your wife's problem, it could be much harder to correct. But if all or some of it is your problem, you can immediately and easily correct that. All you need to do is to know what to do and how to do it. And in this series, you're going to know what to do and how to do it. Now let me say, if you are the head, that means that you are the leader. There are a lot of things we're going to look at, but the first, let me ask you this. How many of these 5 areas do you lead in right now? Number 1, do you lead by example in getting some time alone every day with the Lord in His Word and prayer? Number 2, do you lead by having a little time alone every day with your wife, reading the Word, praying, and answering any questions or interacting together? Number 3, do you lead by eating at least 1 or 2 meals every day with your wife and children, where you take a little time before getting up from the table to read the Word, pray, and answer any questions or interact together? Number 4, do you lead by having a regular date night with your wife at least once a month, if not more often, where she can share all that is on her heart with you? Number 5, do you lead by honoring the Lord's Day in taking your family to church, having one day where you're doing no work but just resting, relaxing as a family, maybe reading something together, singing, even playing a game together, but really enjoying each other and the Lord together? If you're not doing all the above, you are still the head, but a dysfunctional head, or a non-functional head, or an AWOL head, absent without leave. Don't expect God or anyone to respect you as head of your wife and family if you are not leading. A head that does not lead can never experience the full meaningful life that God designed for them as being the head. If a husband, as the head, would faithfully lead in only the above 5 areas, in a spirit of love and joy, 90% of all marriage and family life would dramatically change beyond imagination. The above is no great mystery. It's simply a matter of having love and discipline to do what you probably already knew you should have been doing. But don't feel bad. We all fall short. Proverbs 24:16 says, "The righteous man will fall 7 times the full amount, but will rise up again." However, hopefully this will encourage you to rise up and start doing this today. If you don't start doing this simple 5-point outline today, you probably never will. That's a horrible thought. So start today. If you are only taking 5 minutes for each little time slot. But if you miss one time slot, like the righteous man you are, just get back up, pray, and determine to make that time slot the next day. I've got some exciting things we're going to be looking at next Monday. But really, if you're married and can't take this simple challenge to go for it this week, I'm not sure you would have motivation to let God do much of anything with your life. Sorry to be so strong, but it's true, and it's as simple as that. The following is a promise of God, but I also have prayed it many times for myself, and you can too. Philippians 2:18 says, "For God is working in you, giving you the desire and the power to do what pleases Him." And by the way, hang in here. We'll eventually get to God's secret SSL. Now, I may take a survey next week to see how many of us husbands have risen to this first 5-point leadership challenge. I'm praying for you. Now go and be the leader husband that you are. Just remember, God says, "For a husband is the head of his wife, as Christ is head of the church."